What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's library review we're going to be taking a look at Cremona Quartet from E-instruments and distributed by Native Instruments. This is a very interesting set of instruments. They're basically like the best of the best string instruments, violins, viola, and cello, and put into this package where it's intended to be played not only as soloists but to also function as a quartet, true to its name. And we're going to go into a little bit about the features, what it comes with, and I'll show you at the very end a little mock-up I did of a string quartet I'm kind of, just put together really quickly. And I spent a couple hours on this, so I've had a little bit of experience with the library and I can share my thoughts with you there. So anyway, just going into kind of what the library comes with and the playability, let's start with the Stradivari violin. So I believe this was the first in the lineup. The violin was like the Stradivari violin was available first, and then these other three instruments were available as the rest of the quartet afterwards. So essentially, if we just go into those instruments really quickly, each one comes with its own patch along with a multi-mic option. So I've loaded in the multi-mic option for the Stradivari violin. So you get this icon at the top left, and then you get the close, mid, and far microphones. So the close by far is the loudest one out of the three. If I just play the close by itself, this is what it sounds like. So you can hear the dynamic range that they give you is quite wide, which is great. The vibrato is simulated, I believe, so there's a bit of a trade-off to that, right? Number one, it gives you more control. However, secondly, it doesn't necessarily sound as realistic, although I personally find the amount of vibrato and the way it's scripted is very good. I personally like the sound. The Virtuoso patch, which I selected later on, basically combines different legato types. So there's like fingered legato, there's bow legato, and there's also portamento, and there's also runs legato. And I believe for this patch, Virtuoso combines those different types. So you have portamento, you have finger and bowed, and basically depending on your style of performance, like the velocity and all that. So when you press hard, for example, you get a portamento there, right? Whereas if you play lightly, the legato transitions, I believe, are a little faster, and depending on the speed you play, it determines like the bowing and the finger legato options for you, but you can always go in and change it yourself. For the purposes of this mockup, I decided to go with the marcato finger because I wanted that bit of an accent on the first note each time. And while you can tame that, so for example, if I bring up the mod wheel and play with a higher velocity, So obviously it's not as audible, the attack, when you press harder, but I liked having the mod wheel up and then being able to press harder, and it gives me that biting attack that I'm looking for. It comes with a great number of articulations, honestly. More with the classical side of things, like not too many articulations that are like way out there, like the ones that are super unique, but the ones they give you, I think, are very solid. Like they give you a great starting point. So, here are your different types of legato, and then there is also salpont, there's saltasto, the harmonics, and colegno. So playing with the wooden part of the bow, and then tremolos, trills. Let's have a listen to a few of these. Scripted legato there is a little bit heavy, but so there I'm playing polyphonic legato. I'm playing two notes at once. Trills. Interesting. It sounds like a portamento legato, portamento slur between those two notes for the trill. Ricochet. Okay, and then the sautier. Very cool. It's like a measured short type of thing. So in terms of the recording quality, I really like it. I think it's very pristine, very clean, and a very full sound at the same time with a combination of the microphones there. Legato scripting for me is very nice. I think it basically does what it's supposed to do, and it can keep up with the fast playing, which is great. I think where this library really excels is in the more classical styles, whereas a library like Cinematic Studio Solo Strings excels more in the romantic styles with the heavy vibrato and the smoothest legato possible. Where, that library doesn't excel with the fastest type of playing, the slow playing is where it really shines. And I feel like this library, especially at the fast playing, is where it really shines as well. It's not the most romantic sounding library. However, what it does do well is the faster stuff, the more active type of thing, I feel. And I've played with the legato quite a bit already, so it feels very playable under the fingers. Violin 2 is a similar story. So for these other ones, I've just pulled in the patch that's not multi-mic, and I believe it's a combination of those three. Cool thing is you can play trills there just by holding down one note and repeating the second note back and forth. See what it sounds like with the vibratos all the way up. So definitely more passionate there, but I definitely think that the recorded nature of the vibrato in CSSS is a little more convincing than what's provided here, but this is perfectly serviceable. I definitely think it does the job that it needs to do. And the viola is also quite nice as well. So here's the virtuoso patch. Okay, and finally the cello. This definitely has a really full low end, and I think it rounds off the quartet very, very nicely. It's not like it doesn't sound flat or anything. That's one of the biggest things I like about this patch. Now, I should let you know that the cello does go down to the C, although I've set up the key switches so that it actually covers the C. So that's my fault there, but that was the purpose of this mockup. And yeah, let's just hear a couple of these other articulations. So just to clear up any confusion, staccato is the act of playing a short note. Spiccato is actually where the performer will bounce the bow off the note. So naturally, it has to be short. The way it's performed, it's just like a bounce off of the string. So that's how that works. And the spiccatissimo is an even shorter version of the regular spiccato. Let's hear maybe the salpant for a second. All right, I'm going to set that back to spiccato. There we go. Okay, so that is basically a little bit of an overview of the instruments. Just to recap, they do sound lovely to my ears. And for a quartet purpose, I think they all have the full rich body tone. That sounds wonderful. Legato is quite good. I would say it is not at the smoothest level of, let's say, CSSS. However, it does have a very responsive touch and playability to it that does a classical job very nicely. And I think the portamento is always a nice option to have in any case where you have solo strings. But yeah, in an exposed context, it does quite well, although some of the legato transitions do feel slightly loud in comparison to others. But I think the concept of the virtuoso patch is also something that's awesome. So I'm just going to put the marcato fingered back there. And yeah, let's just run through the mockup once and you can see kind of what I put together. And if you'd like me to dive further in another video to kind of break down what this mockup's all about, I can certainly do that. But yeah, let's just have a quick listen to the mockup. And then I'll scroll through and show you what articulations are being used. Okay, here we go. Cool. So that's after spending a couple of hours tweaking the MIDI data and adding key switches and all of that. But essentially for the violins, I decided to use the staccato patch more because I felt like they were short enough for the purposes of this piece. Let me just actually go to it really quickly. I felt the spiccato wasn't really needed in the context of this piece, and same for the second violin. However, for the viola and the cello, I wanted to do the spiccato because the staccatos just were a little bit too long in that case, and I wanted that bit of that active bouncing type of feeling to it, which I think helped lift it just a little bit. A couple moments I did have to use the staccato articulation because the spiccato started to get a little bit muddy. For example, if I just play these couple notes, you hear how those notes are all layered in together. You can hear the echo, you know, if I do the staccato instead, there the tail is much less. So a couple little things I had to switch up here and there just to make it a little cleaner, but in general, that's the idea. And you have to make sure you use key switches in any sort of mock-up to create any sort of realism. And if I spent more time with this, I'm hoping I could get it even more convincing, but that's the idea. And I think for the purposes of as a quartet, I think it does a great job. So you can see here the panning, I've just done a little bit here to simulate violin 1, violin 2, viola, and cello, going from left to right. So I did 28 to the left here, I did 21 or 18 for the second violin, and then I did 16 to the right for the viola, and 21 for the cello, just to spread them out a little bit. Before they were all up the center and they were kind of fighting for space, so I think the separation helps just a little bit. But in any case, that is my overview of the Cremona Quartet. I want to congratulate E-instruments on a beautiful library, and I want to thank them for sending me a copy to play around with and kind of do a review for you. Please let me know your thoughts. If you have any string quartet libraries or solo strings for that matter, let me know what you currently use and if you recommend the ones that you use, or maybe you're looking for a new one and maybe this fits your bill. If you have any questions, let me know. But in terms of technicalities and looking for specific articulations and all that, the guys over at E-instruments would definitely know best. So send them your questions regarding the instrument if you do have those. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I just want to make sure you're aware of my cinematic libraries guide. It's absolutely free. But if you're looking for any sort of sample library that's orchestral in nature, that gives you that cinematic sound in strings, woodwinds, brass, and percussion, pianos, jazz libraries, ethnic libraries, it's all in an absolutely free PDF guide for you in the description box. If you just scroll down to the first link, they'll take you over there and you can use it for your next library purchase if you're looking for something new and fresh. These are my personal recommendations that I use pretty much on a daily basis. So I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you find it useful. But in any case, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and take care. Bye-bye.